Okay, so when it comes to used gaming PCs that you might find on Craigslist or Facebook, there are a few things I try to look out for. The first and most obvious is price. If the parts don't add up to the asking, I just move along. I don't even entertain it. If the pictures suck, I move along. That's another first impression moment that is hit or miss for a lot of these ads. And if the description is rather vague, then I move along. Like if the seller's not going to take the time to list the parts, discuss what each of the parts are, maybe even what you were doing with the system, why you're selling it, I move along. I need to see all three of these typically to be entertained by the ad. So when one like this shows up in my, I don't know, notification feed, I think this was sent to me by a Twitter follower. This one's bad. It's very bad. And kind of dubious at the same time, because I feel like the information displayed here is falsified. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that the Core i7 6700K listed here on this CyberPower invoice, which the seller listed in the ad, wasn't sold for $2,989 US. Let's investigate. The PowerColor RX 5700 XT Red Devil brings both class and function to the forefront. It's the quietest 5700 XT variant we've tested, maintains a sleek and monochromatic footprint, and comes highly recommended for its bump in performance over stock. The Red Devil's custom PCB utilizes a 10-phase array for buttery smooth power delivery and stays quiet thanks to a beefy heatsink and triple fan design. Check out the video description for more details. Now, at first glance, I was expecting to have to eyeball certain components and kind of guess, what he's rocking in his rig. But we've got something way better than that. How about a CyberPower PC invoice? That's right. The seller included all of his personal information on his invoice as well. I'm not sure if he even realizes it's here. We have his address and invoice number, customer number. This is kind of sketchy, to be honest. I'm going to blur this stuff out. I do not encourage you guys to harass him. Don't do anything like that. Please don't. I just want to show you guys this stuff. First off, yeah, there's an entertainment factor for sure, but this is an informative video. It's intended to be kind of a comical, informative video, so please keep this between us. I feel like I need to say that in every one of these videos. So yeah, this is a ton of stuff here, right? Most of which really won't matter to you or me. I mean, we've got stuff like I don't even know what C series is, as a multimedia internet USB keyboard, a gaming mouse. Like, these aren't even charged. But we've got a lot of stuff down here that is super pricey, and pay special attention to the quantity as well. So there's some things that are in quantities of 3 or 4 that will affect the price. Obviously, multiply this number by the unit price, and that will give you the overall price of said product in the rig. Starting from the top, we have that free mouse and keyboard, a 24-inch monitor for $113 USD, an Office Professional license for $350. That's pretty expensive. Logitech speakers, a webcam, a Wi-Fi card, an Intel Core i7 6700K for, wow, nearly $3,000. I don't know what this is. I mean, I feel like it's got to be fabricated. That's what I was saying a bit earlier. There's no way CyberPower sold a consumer-grade Core i7. This isn't even like a 7980XE, 18-core behemoth. Even that chip, brand new, is $2,000. So I just can't imagine in what world, in US dollars, a Core i7 6700K sells for $2,989. I don't get it, but yeah, we'll come back to this later. Moving on, we've got a PCIe storage card for free, I guess, 4 2TB Samsung SSDs for nearly $1,000 each. This is, that's pretty expensive. Come on, I mean, 32 gigs of DDR4 for $600, soft tube loop gear for $250. Honestly, that's not too bad. A Gigabyte Z170 motherboard for over $400 USD, a Corsair 1500 watt power supply, a 5-year warranty for $350, 3 Titan X graphics cards in SLI with water blocks over $1,000 a piece, and a $100 rush order fee, a 5% Black Friday discount, a few other small things tacked on toward the bottom. Honestly, negligible when seen in the context of this asking price. And so I totaled this entire invoice up, and it came out to, I believe, let's see, I have here my calculator, $12,794. Remember, minus that 5% instant rebate for Black Friday? Yep, that brings us to just over $12,000. But I mean, of course it does, right? I mean, that way it looks like the seller is cutting us one heck of a deal, right? 50% markdown from new, which seems great on paper until you start researching the parts on this list. No doubt the Titan X's were great cards back in the day. They were also super expensive, especially with water blocks attached. So I'm not really going to nitpick those prices. For all I know, $1,000 just that was the norm. And graphics cards did become pretty scarce for a good while, but the Titan X's kind of came up and were pretty popular before the peak of the mining craze. So just a bit of context there. They were expensive cards. I'm not sure if they were that expensive, but I'm not as concerned about these prices. We could move down to, let's see here. Yeah, the Core i7 price. Again, 7980 XE, that's an 18-core beast. You'd pay significantly less for that than supposedly this i7 right here. So I'm very confused and suspicious of this invoice. Same with the Samsung SSDs. Those just at first glance appear way overpriced. The Z170 motherboard is overpriced. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. And assuming you were the guy who actually found use for 3 Titan X's and SLI, you could build this exact same system for far less than asking. So let's do that first. On eBay, hybrid Titan X's are selling for around 400 USD, so let's multiply that by 3 and add that to our list. 6700K is around $200. That's 1400 in total. You can get a Gigabyte GA Z170X Gaming, the exact same board he's using in this system, for less than $100. That's 1500 in total. 2 terabytes each for the Samsung 860 EVO. It's about 200 brand new on Amazon. Multiply that by 4 to match his listing. We've got 800 in solid state storage. And then, so yeah, let's round that to, what, $2,500. Now we need a PSU. Corsair's AX1600i sells new for $459.99 on Amazon. Let's go with that. We can throw in a 360mm AIO for around $150. A Microsoft Office key from eBay for $10 to $20. Same with Windows 10 Pro. That leaves us, I think, left with just a case, and the one he's using is pretty old, so I went with the Fantex Entho Lux for $189.99. Not bad for a full tower with all the bells and whistles. I mean, sure, he's got custom cooling gear in here too, but it's all likely old and in need of good cleanings. That's where I don't generally recommend you buy custom loops that are used. And then we have graphics cards that have AIOs fitted to them, so, you know, we're basically water cooled, just not custom water cooled if you want to call it that. I didn't include RAM yet either. You could tack on 32 gigs for around $200. Really doesn't matter what kit you go with. So where does that leave us? Well, after rounding a bit, we're just over $3,000, about $3,300. That's roughly half of what he's asking for the system. See what I mean? This, you know, you price this stuff out on your own, and you won't run into any issues with overpaying, which is something I feel like a lot of people are afraid of in the used market, especially with PCs and stuff that generally costs more money, right? Same with cars. Cars, I would argue, that's a bigger issue. If you don't research the value of a car, given its mileage, its accident history, things like that, then you could end up severely overpaying for a car. And when you turn around to sell it a year or two later, or heck, 5 or 10 years later, you won't get anywhere near what you paid for it. So it's going to be a bad investment in the long run. Not that cars are good investments in general, but it's going to be a worse investment overall. By the way, do keep in mind that every market is different. So I'm talking specifically US prices here, US dollar values. Your city, your country might be totally different, and these prices might seem very obscure to you, but just know that you could build this exact same system for about half of what this guy is asking for it. But there's also the other argument that you could build a better system than this one using totally different parts for even less than $3,000. So, you know, if he put this through 3D Mark TimeSpy, for example, I bet you I could build a system for a lot less than $3,000 that could trade blows with this system. Probably beat this system, to be honest. And I mean, let's be real, how many games will effectively utilize 3 Maxwell Titan X's? So my recommendation is to scrap the $1,500 purchase altogether. Opt for something a bit more conservative, maybe like an RTX 2080 Super. I mean, I know that's a really expensive card, and I'm not the biggest fan of the RTX series, but if we're being honest with ourselves, those are still some of the most powerful cards, consumer cards on the market, and we don't have much from AMD in the higher tier to really compete with that. So yeah, let's just say 2080 Super for the heck of it. That's still half of the $1,500 prices for used Maxwell Titan X's. I'll take the Super any day of the week. And then as for the CPU choice, in 2019, it'd be pretty difficult to ignore Ryzen for sure. I'd say that the Ryzen 5 3600 is arguably as good, if not a better CPU than the 6700K. In fact, I think it is a better CPU than the 6700K, just off the top of my head, having tested the 3600 and the 8700K. I even tested the 6700K, but that's only a 4-core 8-thread chip, right? The 3600 has similar similar IPC, granted lower clocks, but 2 extra cores, 4 extra threads. That's gonna go a long way in 2019 for sure. So, and best of all, that chip is only $200. So you pair that with like a B350 or 450 board for less than $100, and you've saved yourself a heck of a lot of money. Now, I reached out to CyberPower PC for comment regarding the invoice, and they have yet to respond, unfortunately. I wanted to talk about it in this video. I just don't have any information from them yet, but I'll be sure to update you guys in the comment section. Check that. I might pin a comment if I hear any news, and I'll be sure to, I'll let you know if I hear anything. But I'm kind of hoping they come back with a statement that refutes the $3,000 Core i7 6700K, at least, because I just cannot fathom that price. I cannot fathom the fact that CyberPower would sell this CPU for this much over MSRP. I just think that's very disingenuous. So I'm hoping that they come back and say that it was falsified, that this document was edited, at which point the person who posted this ad should be concerned about being criminally charged with falsifying documents. Usually that's a charge that applies to things like tax evasion, like if you falsify documents to gain a financial advantage or whatever, if you make it seem as though you didn't do as well financially one year and then you end up paying less in taxes because you lied to the government essentially. You could be charged with falsifying documents in that case. But here as well, I mean, if you want to read it up, you can. Falsifying documents involves any misuse of official letterhead, like if in this case, we have the CyberPower Inc. invoice number. If you change data in that, then you're illegally using that header. You're basically impersonating a company. And then also if you alter data in a document like this to gain a financial advantage, especially when it comes to reselling a product or to rip somebody off, that is also a falsifying document. So this person could be criminally charged. And I'm really hoping that that's the case and not the other case where CyberPower just blatantly ripped people off, because I don't know who would pay $3,000 for a Core i7 except for somebody who has no idea what he or she is doing. And that to me would just be manipulation of your consumer base. It's all baffling, it's super confusing, super sus, and that's why I recommend you guys stay away from this ad. Regardless of the outcome, whether CyberPower denies the invoice data or if this is actually the case and they sold a $3,000 CPU, just because somebody paid supposedly $12,000 for this system in 2015 or 16 or whenever, that does not mean that the system is now magically only worth half of what you paid for it 3 or 4 years later, and later on down the line. So this stuff requires diligence, it requires research. If you're willing to make a big purchase like this, take time to research the products that are included in the PC, because it could save you a heck of a lot of money and it could steer you clear of garbage like this. I think this is a scam, no two ways about it. Whether it's CyberPower PC that ripped off this guy to begin with and now this guy is trying to rip off somebody else in the process, or if this guy actually falsified documents and is trying to scam somebody himself, it's just super shady, super sus. And that's red flags everywhere. And that's not to say there aren't good listings out there. There certainly are. This is just not one of those, so steer clear of this one. Again, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give this one a thumbs up. Click that red subscribe button if you haven't already. Become a member if you're feeling fancy. You can join us on Floatplane. That'd be appreciated. And we'll catch you in the next one. This is Science Studio. Thanks for cringing with us.